In Washington, a big change coming to the U.S. Senate. Mitch McConnell says he's stepping down as Republican Senate leader in November. The senator from Kentucky is the longest-serving leader in Senate history. The 82-year-old says the decision is not related to recent health challenges, including suffering a concussion from a fall last year and 2 incidents where he appeared to freeze up. While speaking to reporters, McConnell says he will continue to serve just as senator, just not in a leadership position. Well, whatever the reason, it is a big change up, and here to break it down and what it means for us is our friend of the stream and teaching professor in the School of Public Service and chair of DePaul's Masters of Public Administration program, Dr. Nicholas Katcharobas. Doctor, a long time no see. Welcome back.
Good to see you, sir.
Does this mean, and does this signal, Mitch McConnell waving the white flag to Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans? He's been at odds with them for some time. Is this I'm giving up, or I don't have the energy, or I don't have the health, or a combination of all?
I think a combination of all. I think it's really the energy issue. As you've already alluded to, he has suffered some mishaps with media and being able to answer promptly, and the concussion. So I think all those things are pushing in on him.
Yeah, speaking of things pushing in on him, Donald Trump, the Supreme Court has agreed to take up his immunity case. How do you see that playing out, and what do you make of him being thrown off the Illinois ballot for now?
So I think the Supreme Court case is going to be very interesting to watch if and when they take it. Well, not if, but when they take it up. It may be very close to the election. Obviously, whatever the U.S. Supreme Court decides will be the law of the land for all the states. But here in Illinois, as you know, yesterday, the circuit court judge in Cook County threw Trump off the ballot. So that means that now Trump's attorneys will appeal to the Illinois Appellate Court in the 1st District, which may eventually make its way to the Illinois Supreme Court. So that's sort of the process we have now.
Senator McConnell for years now has urged Congress and his fellow Republicans to continue supporting Ukraine and other U.S. allies abroad, and he's dealt with a lot of pushback now within his own party, especially from that very small group. And someone of McConnell's stature, and I mean, he did have a big stature in the Republican. You know, he knew how to whip votes. He knew how to get his team used to together. If he can't get everyone on the same page, even as Republicans, can anyone?
That's the million-dollar question, and I think no. It's hard. You know, I used to talk to the Speaker of the House of the U.S. Representatives, and he used to say it's like herding cats. And I think it's the same in the Senate, although there's a little less of the cats to deal with. And particularly with the polarization, and you've got Donald Trump pushing in. You see it in the Speaker of the House currently, Mike Johnson. They're constantly threatening to throw him out. And I think you're going to see more of this, although a little more reserved in the Senate. But I think we're going to get a Trump-supported majority or minority leader out of this.
Okay, that's interesting. So throw out some names that are possibilities. And if that indeed does happen, since it is more of a, you know, House of Lords versus a House of Commoners, more of a stately, how do you see that playing out? First of all, give me a couple names, and then, you know, is this person going to have any more sway in herding cats?
I think probably Ted Cruz wants it.
Okay.
Potentially Tuberville from Alabama, Senator Scott from South Carolina, who are Trump allies. Those are 3 names I see. I think they're going to have trouble herding cats, any of them. I think Cruz would have the best opportunity. But the issue is going to be how do the Republicans do with the seats that are up in the 2024 election? As you know, the Republicans are a minority, and I think they're going to stay a minority. Do they lose seats or do they gain seats? If they gain seats, that leader will have a little more power.
All right, yeah, and obviously the biggest goal with this new minority leader would be to make them a majority leader winning a majority. So it'll be fascinating what you say there. Can whoever they put in that spot get ultimately the Senate to the Republicans? We'll wait and see. Dr. Katsouropoulos of DePaul, thank you for your time. We appreciate seeing you. And we'll be talking to you next Tuesday, maybe even Monday for Super Tuesday. Thank you, Doc.
All right. Have a great day, Brad.